Do you take inventory of what you have to sell? You probably should about once every year or so. It's not a perfect world. If it were, you'd never have to take inventory. The moment you list something, you go put it on your shelf. You mark the shelf number 721, and you come back and you put that number, that inventory number where your item is located in your SKU, in your product SKU, and all is rosy. And then you never move that item. And whenever that item sells, you go straight to that item because your listing, your sales record will show you where the SKU is, where the item is in your inventory. If all of that sounds weird and you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll do a video on how to do that type of inventory. There are a couple of ways to do inventory and how to and recording where your items are. That's one way. I would say for everything sellers, as most of us are on this channel, I would say that that is the best way by far. I've also told you, assume you'll always make a mistake. And I've told you how to guarantee that you get the right item on the right inventory. Things can get moved, and that's why about every year or so, you should use your phone if you want, and go to every single shelf in your inventory, every single shelf and every single shelving unit, and make sure that everything is where you think it should be. Make sure everything is for sale, and make sure everything that is for sale is where it should be, so that when it does sell, you'll be able to go straight to it. Taking an inventory is sort of fun. For an everything seller, you'll see things, you'll realize that really should have sold. I must be asking too much. I'm going to go right now and lower that a little bit. Try to maybe add a sell, try to improve something to make this go. This thing really ought to have sold by now. And it will let you find still inventory and things like that. And just general, you should be familiar with your inventory. And sometimes that means you see something that you haven't seen for a while, and it triggers a thought process of maybe I can bundle that with this other item that hasn't sold in a while and get them both sold fast. I guess all businesses need to do inventory. It's my guess, and I don't know, I've never been a sheep farmer, but it's my guess sheep farming is the hardest business to do inventory on, because if it were me, every time I counted the sheep, I'd fall asleep. I'm just telling you, I would. So anyway, there's that. The biggest sin you can commit as a reseller, whether it's on eBay or anywhere, is to sell something that you cannot find. That is the biggest sin. Some of you know I'm a newspaper columnist. I had a syndicated newspaper column about eBay about 2007 or so. I've written books on eBay throughout the early 2000s. From 2000 to about 2010, I wrote books about eBay, published worldwide. They were real books by real publishing houses. And I have run groups on training of eBay now. So far, this is my favorite because it's all just you and I, and we're going to really have fun in this group. But I know what I'm talking about, and for years I've said the biggest sin that you can commit as a reseller is to sell something you don't have. Recently, I heard a major eBay trainer, Tech and Sports. I don't know if you know about Tech and Sports. I've heard him say a couple of times in the last 2 or 3 years, the biggest sin you can commit is to sell something you don't have. Now, if you think about why is that, it's because you make eBay or any other, let's say you're doing market fulfilled sales on Amazon, meaning that means instead of you selling on Amazon FBA where you ship everything to Amazon, that means that you just sell kind of like you do on eBay, where you list things on Amazon, and if they sell, Amazon will allow you to print a mailing label, discount a mailing label, and you can ship it to the buyer. The worst mistake you can make there, or eBay, or Mercari, or anywhere else, is to sell something that you cannot find. Why is that? It is because you make the whole platform look like a fraud. We make the whole platform look like it's a lie. That it's going to promise something, the buyer in good faith is going to pay for something, and then they don't get it. They're told, we're out of stock. Just kidding, sorry, joking. That's not good at all. If you get a negative feedback for that, you deserve it. You really do, and you should get a negative feedback for that. That's a major mess up. You don't want to do that. That's why you should probably take inventory about every year. That's why you should probably make sure that you do all that I say in this group, and that is assume you're going to make all mistakes that you can make, and then you double check everything so that you don't make those mistakes. Let's say that you sell out of something. Let's say you sell something and you can't find it. What do? You don't cancel the sale. You do anything but that if possible. What you do is you start looking for that item somewhere else. You've looked all over your place, you can't find it. Okay, it's not here, or I can't find it. Either way, I'm not shipping this tomorrow. Something I've got to find one somewhere. And you have got to find that item for sale by someone else, whether it's eBay or Amazon or Facebook Marketplace or Walmart.com. It doesn't matter. You need to find that thing and you need to get it sent to your buyer. Well, what if you have to pay more for it? Well, it's your mistake. You should. What if you have to pay double? Well, it's your mistake. You should. You owe that buyer that item. You, in effect, have been dishonest if you don't find that buyer that item. Now, if it looks like it's going to take a little longer to arrive, you've got a couple of problems there. You, again, not intentionally, you lied to your buyer. You said, I ship this out tomorrow, but the seller that you buy it from on eBay in Wisconsin, she doesn't ship until 3 more days. Well, you've got a problem there in that your buyer is expecting it sooner, and rightly so. You're going to have to adjust a lot of things. In that case, in almost every case where it's not a smooth, this buyer is being sent this today, and I know it's just as good as what I was selling or better, even if I have to pay a lot more. If it's not better than yours, you'd better just refund your buyer. Contact your buyer and let your buyer know, I don't have this, but don't worry, we're getting you another one, and it's even better, and it's coming from here, and I'm going to monitor the whole situation, and here's all your money because you shouldn't have a glitch on anything, but we still want you to have this. Always use the we, family to family. We want you to have this, and it's important to us to make right anything that you have entrusted in us. Now, you have another situation, and that is if you're not going to ship this to your buyer, you can't print a mailing label and ship that buyer the item because you don't have the item. You don't want to order the item to your house and then ship it to the buyer. That'll take forever. It'll really mess up. You can't do that to your buyer. They're expecting it faster. In these days, in modern times, people expect things to be shipped right away. Therefore, you, on your mailing label, you will have a late shipment or a never shipment. If you just never ship it from your house, and generally you won't in this case, you'll have an item not delivered, an item not shipped. eBay's going to mark you down in your metrics. Now, if you just have one of those, okay, it's not going to kill your account or anything, but it's not going to help. And you don't want it. What I do, I suggest you do this. Man, it's a hassle. I suggest you find the item and you get it to your buyer and get that in the queue and refund your buyer and let your buyer know what's going on. And then you ship the item. And then you buy a box of candy and ship it to your buyer as our gift of, please forgive us. We're so sorry. We hope you and your family enjoy these goodies. And I ship them a box of candy. Now, if it's in the summer months, hot spring, early fall, you probably can't ship something that's meltable. So you've got to factor that in. Is it going to melt or not? You've got to worry about that. But that allows you to print a mailing label for something. It doesn't have to be the same weight or size as the item. As long as you get that mailing label printed and ship them a gift, then eBay will not knock you down on your mailing label. Now, if money's tight and you just can't refund their money, that's okay. Go ahead and send them the gift and go ahead and let them know that it's coming from somewhere else. And if you paid more for it and you just can't afford to refund them all their money, okay, they're fine. They paid for it. They're okay. You've taken care of them. All of that. That's okay. They should be fine. These are the steps. Lastly, what happens if you just can't find anything? What if it was a one-of-a-kind item and you can't find it? You've got a problem. I don't really have any other suggestion except maybe canceling this sale. Now, what you can do is call them, and you should call them in this situation. The number, anytime that you look at an invoice, there will be a place you'll find the buyer's phone number. eBay will exchange buyer and seller phone number once a transaction takes place. So you can find it on your invoice. Call the buyer and say, we are so sorry. This is what happened, and we have looked everywhere. What we're going to do is refund all of your money, of course. Please forgive us. There's no excuse for this. You expected to get what you deserve, and we didn't let it happen. And we're so distraught, so we're going to refund all of your money. We have a little gift coming your way. Now that way you can use that mailing label, refund all their money, but send them a mailing label. By the way, print the mailing label first. If you refund the whole thing, for some reason, eBay takes away the mailing label possibility. It's odd. eBay won't let you print a mailing label if you refund all their money. I don't know why. Anyway, so print, send them a little gift, print the mailing label, send them a little gift, refund all their money, and then call them and tell them what you've done. If they don't answer, leave a message, and then immediately message them through eBay and say, as you know from the voicemail we left at this number, and give them the number you used, because people change numbers. They might think, oh yeah, we don't have that anymore, but that must be still in eBay's record. But you will then restate everything you said, how we sure looked high and low for this. We looked everywhere. We looked on all other websites we could think of. We will keep our eyes open. Here's your money back. If we ever see one of these, we will immediately contact you and ask if you still want one. And if you do, we're going to send it right to you. If you don't want it at that time because you've got one, no problem. We will always consider you on this. For the next year or so, we're going to be on the lookout, and we will do anything else that is within our power to help you get one of these. So keep that in mind. That's what you should do, that sort of thing. Now, why on earth does eBay sometimes create items that you've already sold and they still assume that you've got them in your inventory? I hear this a lot. I don't think eBay does this. I do not think eBay just randomly puts items back in your inventory. eBay has glitches, I know that. I don't think this is a glitch. I've sold 30,000 items in my selling accounts over the last 25 years, and they're all one-of-a-kind, one-off items. It's very hard to sell 30,000 items one at a time, and they're all different, but I love it and I do it. Not once has eBay ever stuck something in my inventory that I didn't accidentally put too many in the quantity or something like that. However, sometimes the following happens. Now, this is weird because it says this is an item that I had two of, I sold one, and then I took down the listing because I sold the next one on Facebook Marketplace. I will very rarely sell on multiple platforms other than eBay, but Facebook Marketplace is an exception. There are very good reasons why that's an exception, and I'll go into that eventually on this channel. The Facebook Marketplace is a good secondary selling channel for some of your eBay items. So I had two available, one sold, I had one for sale, I then sold it on Facebook Marketplace, and so I ended the listing. Now, what happens if the Facebook Marketplace person flakes out or something like that? I'll just relist it on eBay. That is what happened. The person guaranteed me they'd be there. I was on my way. They texted and said, sorry, we can't. We've had some emergency. We no longer want this. Now, that's rare. As a matter of fact, I think that's only happened the one time to me on this sign recently. So what I did is I came home and I just clicked relist on the sign. Clicked relist. Now, I've sold this since then. But look what happened. When I click relist, all is well. It pulls up all of my pictures and all of this, everything I did, and all you do is just click list it, right? Oh no, there's a huge problem. This is what I suspect happens to some of you who think that eBay magically just adds inventory on things you've already sold. This looks at my original listing and it sees that I had a quantity of two, but I don't anymore. I've only got one. I sold down one and then I ended the listing. So when I relist, if I don't notice, if I don't recall there was two here, and if I'm listing real fast and say, oh yeah, everything's the same, same price, same everything list, then I have just listed two, but I only have one in inventory. And the way my universe works is both of those are going to sell really fast, and I'm only going to have one, and I'm in the same trouble that I was describing earlier. And I've got to find one of these. There's not one of these Osprey signs brand new anywhere. I had the last 5 on earth. There's not any. And there's no way I could find one of these. No way I could find one of these if I sold both and I only had the one. I think this is the common reason why a lot of eBayers, once in a while, something will sell and you'll go, I don't have that anymore. I already sold it, or sold 2 of them, or sold 5, or whatever it was. I think sometimes when you do a relist, or whenever someone returns an item, here it is again, you sell all 6 items that you have for sale and someone returns one. Well, eBay will do an automatic relist if you want them to whenever you refund the buyer. Yeah, great, let's do that. No, let's not, because that will automatically relist 6 items even though only 1 was returned. This is how you can get tripped up. So it's in the relist or sell similar, and you're going to eventually sell one of those that you no longer have. That's a problem. So anytime you relist or sell similar to something that you've ended or that has been returned to you, always be very careful and look at the quantity and make sure that you have exactly that many remaining to sell.